Don't miss your chance to win Clint Boyer's new Camping World RV and $25,000. So download the Fox Bet Super 6 app, answer 6 questions about Stage 2 of the Coca-Cola 600, and enter the sweepstakes for your chance to win. Completely free to play. Best of luck. Well, the Nets will take their 2-0 series lead into Boston tonight, where Kyrie will face Celtics fans for the first time since he left for the Nets in June 2019. And Kyrie says he hopes the crowd at TD Garden will keep it strictly basketball tonight rather than engage in, quote, belligerence or any racism. Celtics president Danny Ainge responded to Kyrie's comments saying, quote, "I never heard any of that from any player that I've ever played with in my 26 years in Boston." Chris Broussard, I start with you here. Chris, what kind of reception do you think Kyrie will get tonight in Boston?
I think it's going to be bad. Look, he did get out in front of it, but I think now it's going to be worse than it would have been had he not even said anything. I think, you know, they're going to call him a traitor. They're going to boo him. They're going to jeer him. They'll have signs. There'll probably be a lot of flat earth references and all that. And all that stuff's fine. That's well and good. But as long as they don't go racial, and I don't think they will. I mean, I think you'd have to be crazy to do that at this point. I certainly don't think there'll be any N-word references. But there are other ways you could go racial, and the Boston fans better stay clear of that. Also, and I don't know if they're thinking about this, don't criticize his religion. You know, they might just think, oh, leave the race alone. Don't make any Islamic references or anything like that. Leave his religion and his race alone. It can be a great atmosphere, a lot of trash talk, a lot of booing, a lot of intensity, but leave the religion and the race alone, and it could be a great night for people to watch and people to enjoy basketball-wise.
I agree with everything you said. He's going to get booed relentless. I thought for a second, Skip, they might, you know, would they introduce him, yeah, and then every time he touched the ball, but not now. It's all, the gloves are off. Yeah. Even if the gloves were ever on, they're really off now. He's going to get booed. A lot of it has to do, he might think it has something to do with other things, but it wasn't a success, Chris. There's no way around it. Boston Celtics and Kyrie Irving did not mesh well together for whatever reasons. Maybe he was at a stage that he was, you know, transitioning to what we see now. Yep. And maybe he was just still in his feelings and things rubbed him the wrong way with how they did business in Boston. But for whatever reason, it didn't work well. And it seemed to me they played better when Kyrie Irving wasn't on the court than when he was on the court. And I'm not so sure that they really missed him, that they miss him. Sure, he's a phenomenal talent, undeniable. There's no mistaking that. There's nothing he can't do with the basketball in his hands, but it didn't work well. And like you said, Chris, he tried to get out in front of it. Now, Danny Ainge is either naive or tone deaf, but either one is bad. Because it's hard for me to believe the sense.
I'd say tone deaf, but go ahead.
It's hard for me to believe, Skip. He said it's 20.
Period.
Yeah. In his 26 years, he's never heard a player. Well, you're asking the wrong player. Because it seems to me, Skip, if you want to know the real answer, Marcus Smart, he said what he said to Marcus Smart. Say, I've heard him say that about opposing players. They said that I've heard him say about the players that's on the team, which is ridiculous. Avery Bradley has come out and said, I didn't hear it, but they called my brother told me they called him this. So, Danny, don't do that. And everybody's going to cape up for this city. I'm going to take up for Atlanta. You know what? The Water Boys, this thing is getting out of hand. Skip, every time you pull up to an intersection, stoplight, they run up to your car trying to sell you water. Bro, get back. I gave you $20. You talking about, man, you get out my face. You pull up to the gas station, leave your car running, they're going to ask Akon about that. They're going to come get it. They might lay you down. I still love Atlanta.
Okay.
So you're going to cape up for your city. Yep. Chris, you know they cape up for Mississippi, Alabama, even with the history that's going on in those places. But I don't want to be in Kyrie's shoes tonight, but he might go drop 50 on them.
Well, that's the way I told you. Chris, remember LeBron's return after he took his talents to South Beach? Remember the return to Cleveland? He just gave it to them. He shut them down and shut them up. by just playing basketball at the highest level you can play. And I admired him for that because that's not that easy to do. His emotions were probably just running wild, and he channeled his emotion into making baskets and playing defense. And is Kyrie capable of that?
Yes.
I think he's capable tonight. But, Chris, I appreciate what you said to Boston fans. Just please leave religion and race out of it.
Yes.
But boo your guts out if you feel like it, because he deserves your boos.
Yes.
Because he was shockingly bad in Boston. You guys know, I'm a big Kyrie fan. I loved what he did with and for LeBron in Cleveland in the finals. And then he gets his wish. He wants out from under LeBron. And where does he get to go? He goes to a storied, hallowed franchise, the Boston Celtics, with a bunch of young, upcoming star
Tatum,
talent.
Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. They had a squad.
They had a squad, and he was pathetic.
He was.
And he brought the wrath of the fans on his own head because at that fan event, that fan night that he did in March of 2018, he says, "If you'll have me, I will resign here." And then it fell all apart, and he's throwing the whole team under the bus, especially the young stars. They don't know how to win a championship. And the next thing you know, he's up in the tunnel at the All-Star game telling KD, Brooklyn's got two max contracts. We are out of here. And then he flames out in Boston. Remember, Chris, they won the first game against Giannis and company by 22. Then they lose 4 straight. And in those 4 games, Kyrie Irving shot 5 of 27 from 3. That's 18.5%. Well, you want to talk about leaving a bad taste in the mouth of the fans? And again, he did go back to Boston on Christmas Day this year, but there was no fans. So now he's going to hear it all night.
And especially, think about it, it's like anything, you know, all of a sudden, they see what he's doing now. He's averaging 27 points. He's being very unselfish with the basketball. He's playing defense. Kyrie will dive on the floor.
He will.
It's kind of like, you know, you see somebody, you're like, a relationship, and all of a sudden the guy starts dressing up, and when you had him, he was all haggardly. Now he got Star Genie wearing blazers and nice sneakers. He like, wait a minute, why you didn't do that with me? They like, Kyrie, why didn't you play like that with us? Why didn't you care like this with us? But he gonna get, I'm going Kyrie gonna go, I say he go 35 or more. Because you know why? They gonna feed him. They gonna feed him
like it's an all-star game.
Yes.
That's the thing. I think obviously KD loves him, and he's going to want to help Kyrie get off. And Harden's that type of guy, too.
Yeah, he is.
So I do think they're going to try to get Kyrie off. And I think the Boston fans, too, are going to take this into consideration. A few years ago, when Kyrie was there, they're thinking, oh, we're going to be challenging for championships in the next few years, right?
Yep.
And now they're looking like they're obviously no better than the 4th best team in the East. And it looks like it's going to be that way for a while because Kemba Walker, Kyrie's replacement, has the knee issues. You know, the young boys, they're good, but they're not Giannis or Embiid or the guys in Brooklyn. So that's also going to weigh into the anger of the Boston fans.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Chris. It really runs deeper than just his departure from Boston. It did not pan out as they expected. We appreciate you joining us for plenty to talk about today. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll check in next week. Coming up, we had an unlikely hero in last night's Nuggets-Blazers game. Stick around. This is good stuff.